How did it happen? I'd say, hard work. I think opportunity looks a lot like hard work, right? But also being smart about how you go about that hard work when it comes to learning from your mistakes and actually going through the fire to be able to, when you get to that moment of being able to have that opportunity, I think you're ready for it because you've been practicing every day with the championship mindset. And I believe the championship mindset is really genuinely every day trying to show up and live in your purpose and impact just one life every day. Is I think you're living your mission, and that's what it's all about to me.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Founder Podcast. Today, we are doing a special episode. We got Mr. Mark Baysinger here on the podcast. Welcome, my man.
Appreciate you for having me.
So it's going to be a little bit different of a look. Mark is a celebrity barber. This guy knows all the people. He's been in the NFL, MLB, NHL. We're talking all the big leagues. He's been working down on sets down in LA. Right-hand man of Russell Wilson for a long time.
For a long time.
Woo, hey, I mean, this guy turned Russell Wilson into ugly, into GQ.
I wouldn't say that. I didn't say that, but
I said it. I said it. So super excited to have you on the set today. Mark is also a native to here in Eastern Washington.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Grew up in Sunnyside.
Sunnyside.
Woo!
Sunnyside. Not
Man,
far from here.
I come from a door-to-door background. That's actually where I got my start selling products door-to-door.
Really?
Yeah, and did a lot of work out in Sunnyside.
What kind of door-to-door?
Did pest control, home security, automation.
Wow.
I'll tell you what, Sunnyside for home security, we knock on people's doors, and it was like, it wasn't, hey, have you ever been broken into? It was like, when was the last time you got broken into?
Right. I try to tell people for that in Seattle where I'm from. I'm like, you have no idea where I come from. So,
man, some of my favorite memories. Yeah, so made a lot of money out in the valley.
I could see the market would be hot. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But that's amazing. That's amazing. So, when it comes to getting into what you're doing now, like, how did you make that evolution to becoming what you're becoming and as successful as you're doing it?
Yeah, man, I think the background to any successful job, business, hustle, whatever you're doing is sales, right? Like,
Right.
You got to know how to go and present yourself, be able to get somebody else to view life from your standpoint. That's essentially what sales is, right? Like, you have something and you look at it, you're like, I either got this great product, service, solution, you got a problem, let me help you identify how this will actually help solve your problems.
Finding the white space.
Yeah, finding the white
Finding
space.
the white space.
And so, anybody that can go out and knock on doors for a living,
Right.
they can go and do anything that they want.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny. I don't tell many people this, but right out of high school, I saw an ad. It said $2,500 a month, guaranteed. They didn't tell me what the job was.
Is it Cutco?
Well, a week's long worth of sales training. They pull out the vacuum day 6.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
I said, whoa, Kirby? And guess what? I was killing them for a minute. And at the end of the day, I'll never forget it. People buy from who they like, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And at the end of the day, I let the vacuum do the talking. And I just made their house look really dirty by pulling more dirt pads. And guess what? About 100 dirt pads in, they're asking you, so how much does that cost?
Right.
And you follow a recipe, but really when you're passionate and know how to build rapport
For sure.
in an authentic, genuine way, and you really care, I think the sales game is good to people that actually live by that.
I love it. And like I said, anybody that knows how to go door to door, sell some sort of product,
Right.
I mean, they usually make something of themselves.
Right. No, I always say that gave me a firm grip of if you can sell a $2,000 vacuum to people that don't want it, and they end up buying it just because you end up building that rapport, and you end up, and the vacuum speaks for itself, and next thing you know, they want to support you.
Yeah.
And then it taught me a lot about just like, if you could do that, you could do anything. You know
I
what
love it.
So, yeah.
I love it. Well, sweet, man. So I know we got the clips here.
We do.
We want to see a little bit of your work while we have a little barbershop talk.
Yeah. You ready to do that?
Let's jump on in, baby.
All right, let's get it. Let's get
go.
it.
Here we go.
Let's go.
Thanks for letting me grace you with My skill set of trying to make you look better than what you already are, it's going to be hard to do, right?
I mean, dude, with how good you made Russell look, I'm excited to see what you can do with
That's funny.
it.
Uh,
So, dude, tell me a little bit more about your story. So, you're from a small town, Sunnyside,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
How does a kid go from Sunnyside to, basically hanging with, professional athletes everywhere? You're traveling with Russell, you're cutting, Julio Rodriguez's hair. You got a shop in T-Mobile Park, is that right? Or it's no longer called T-Mobile Park.
Yeah, and that's T-Mobile, but it's a barbershop for the players. That is, it's a really dope barbershop that they've allowed me to be in there for the last 8 years, which I'm very, very, very grateful for. But yeah, to have those type of opportunities with, if you would have told me that as a kid when I first started, that I'd be cutting in a major league ballpark on game day with some of the best or the greatest ball players in the world, but more importantly, some of the greatest people I've ever met, is I would have said you're crazy, but it's happened, and I'm very grateful for it.
So bridge the gap for us. How does that happen? How does so there's a lot of small town kids out there that just don't realize that they can even get outside of their own town,
Right. How did it happen? I say, I think hard work. I think opportunity looks a lot like hard work, right? But also being smart about how you go about that hard work when it comes to learning from your mistakes and actually going through the fire to be able to, when you get to that moment of being able to have that opportunity, I think you're ready for it because you've been practicing every day with the championship mindset. And I believe a championship mindset is really genuinely every day trying to show up and live in your purpose and impact just one life every day. Is, I think, you're living your mission, and that's really what it's all about to me.
So who instilled that in you?
My mom, I would say my mother, my grandparents. My grandparents were, amazing people, pioneers. My father also, he was really, really big in when it comes to just how to speak to people and just how to respect everyone, but just be a people person at the highest level is something that he always ingrained in me. And so as a small kid, when we would go to Seattle, and no lie, my mom, she'd be like, where's Marky? And all of a sudden she'd look across the street and I'm talking to some homeless guy sitting on the bench with them, and I think I was doing that at like 3 or 4 or 5 years old, you know what I mean? So it's always been something where I've loved people and I love just to get to know people, you know what I mean?
So you always had that gift of gab, the ability just to go and get to know pretty much anybody?
Oh, for sure. I always pride myself when it comes to barbershops, right? There's a lot of like Latin barbershops or hipster barbershops, and I call myself the Anthony Bourdain from the barber industry because all walks of life, I think food and hair are two commonalities that, most people eat, most people get haircuts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're able to use that as a bridge to be able to get to know all cultures, all walks of life. And it's something that I genuinely love about what I do, is being able to connect with all walks of life.
So at what age did you start cutting hair?
I started cutting my own hair when I was 12 years old.
Okay.
Picked up the clippers, went to a 3-way mirror, and the rest is history is what I like to say. So
were you able to perform a fade on yourself?
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yes. No, it was really, my dad used to cut my hair, and they had a contemporary Christian music ministry, and they were always practicing. And it got to the age about 12 years old where, at basketball games, you want to look good for the game tomorrow. My dad didn't have time to cut it every week.
Uh-huh.
And so I grabbed the clippers and I was like, man, let me see how I can do. And honestly, the first haircut I ever did on myself, I was like, man, I could do this. And so I kind of just took it on from there. But I never really thought I'd ever do it for a living.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that, when barbers weren't not to say they weren't cool, but there was a lot of old barbers that were kind of dying off, and a lot of people were going to salons at the time.
Yeah.
And so, you tell your dad you're going to beauty school, he about had a heart attack. And it was really cool to one day.
Is that what they call it? Beauty school? It wasn't like barber school or anything?
At the time, it was beauty school because there wasn't a lot of people going to barber school.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, I will never forget. I told him I'm going to beauty school, and he was like, "What?" He's like, "You don't want to do that, son." And I was like, "Oh man!" But now
So he's like, you're gonna be hanging with a bunch of women and probably guys that want to be women.
right. At the end of the day, he's proud. I never forget when I started cutting the Seahawks. It was our family. We grew up a Seahawks family, right?
Okay.
And so, it wasn't when I didn't get on right away. I was working in the industry for 10 years. And finally, the year they won the Super Bowl, by the grace of God, I was the team barber in New York for the Super Bowl, right? So
You got to bridge that gap. Like, how do you just become the team barber in 2013? Tell us about how that all went down. There was obviously some point, some like big shifting moment where you got the intro or the connection. How did that all come to be?
Yeah, great question. Honestly, again, by the grace of God, but really to tell you in a short story, Instagram came out, right?
Okay.
And Brandon Browner just got signed by the Seattle Seahawks, played in the CFL, and they have the Tri-City Fever here, right?
Okay.
So I'm cutting some of the Tri-City Fever player hair, and I'll never forget the day. It was the day my grandmother passed, and I'm walking in to go basically, they're having a rosary, and she's probably 2 hours away from passing away. And I get this notification on my Instagram where it's like, Brandon Brown leaves it where he's talking about a picture of me and Evander Holyfield that I just took in Vegas. I don't know him like that. I just took a picture of him.
Yeah.
And he was like, "This is my favorite fighter." But it didn't really mean much to me at the time because my grandma was passing away, and I just kind of forgot about it. And then fast forward 2 weeks later, I'm cutting hair for the Tri-City Fever, and he comments again, and he's basically saying hello to one of his teammates that he had in the CFL. And so I'm like, wow, this guy's actually watching my page like this. Like, that's crazy. Like, entire social media was just being kind of introduced to the world, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so then they come on a 12-man tour, and he hits me up on Instagram and says, "Hey man, I want a haircut." And pretty much the rest is history. By the grace of God, Earl Thomas was actually cutting dreadlocks off at that time. And I came up here to cut Brandon, up here, I mean Seattle. And the same day I cut Brandon, he's like, "Yo, Earl wants a barber. You mind if I give him your number?" And I will never forget that day like it was yesterday.
So you telling me you're the guy that cut off his dreads?
I'm not. I did not cut off his dreads. He cut off his dreads right before he got to camp. But I'm the one that gave him his first real taper. I shouldn't say his first. He's had it when he was in high school, of course. But
Right.
Post dreadlock.
Yeah.
And he almost won the defensive MVP, which he should have won the defensive MVP that year.
Oh yeah.
By the way, but they won the Super Bowl. I was in New York. Actually, Earl flew me to New York to basically cut him for the Super Bowl. And kind of rest is history. I was at the team hotel the night before the game, and I was cutting Percy Harv and Bobby Wagner. It was surreal because I grew up as a little boy, honestly, like loving the team.
Oh yeah.
So it's not quite like Jeter loving the Yankees and then being the greatest Yankee, but like as from a kid from a small town, kid from St. Washington, it was something that to this day I'm forever grateful for.
That's awesome. And so then you parlay that in, so you end up being the team barber. How do you go from there to opening up a shop in T-Mobile? Is it just one connection after another?
Well, I would say that Felix Hernandez was a huge part in bringing me into the MLB as far as being the team barber. And once I became, the Seahawks barber, Russell's kind of full-time year-round barber, you get to know a lot of great people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And by the grace of God, and thank you, Felix, for the end of time. And he knows this. I mean, I love that guy forever for the way he stuck his neck out for me and he believed in me. And I feel the same way, guys like Sam Chancellor, Earl Thomas for sure, the whole Thomas family. They let me live with them. When I was living in Tri-City here, I was traveling back and forth. I ended up cutting about 35, 40 players to 53. And Earl was basically Earl said, "Man, you can just stay here, bro, and like cut all week for guys." And so I was cutting at the Seahawks facility pretty much 3 or 4 days a week. And Earl gave me a place to live and treated me like family. and they treated my whole entire family like family. And without him giving me that opportunity, I can't really say I would have been able to like flourish the way I did. And so, if somebody opened up their home like that and actually trusts you and love you like that, it forever means the world to me. So,
So I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people out there that cut hair, right? But you got sports clips, you got cheap end to being a celebrity barber. What would you say that like has set you apart and really made it memorable for these guys, where they want to keep using you and referring you to their friends? Like, what about the experience, or what about your mentality has really led to that?
I would say, honest to God, iron sharpens iron, right? And so being around the guys like the Russells and the Earls and the Trams and the Julios, like, they show you what it looks like to be a pro and actually push, not to compete against any other barber, but my prayer is I don't want to leave anything on the table. And what I mean by that is what separates me, I feel, is simply just genuinely connecting with them first and foremost. But I believe my superpower truly, like, I'm good, but he's really good.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like the gifts of the Holy Spirit and just being able to fellowship with people from a genuine place. Some people don't want to be talked to like that here, and it doesn't offend me either, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think just like my prayer every day when I wake up is like, Lord, I don't know what you need. I don't know what Chris needs today, but like flow through me and let me be a vessel of you in a way that I could never do on my own. And I think that type of connection and that brotherhood is really what it's all about. It's really better than Christ, you know what I'm saying? And that's really what I think separates me from, I think there's a lot of barbers out there like that, but that's really my true, I think, superpower and why I've been able to do what I do.
And so I know Offset, before we started recording, you talked a little bit about how you really helped with the mentality of some of these players. Like, you were almost like a coach or somebody that actually helped get the best out of them. Can you dive into that a little bit more?
I wouldn't say that. I got to be very careful, right? Because like at the end of the day, these guys are great on their own, right? But
Right.
I think just having a small opportunity, it's not just players, honestly. It's everyday people that come and sit in my chair. I say, well, I can leave with you from a mindful and purposeful conversation and connection to last way longer than any haircut I could ever give you.
Absolutely.
And I think that at the end of the day, it might be the smallest of things when it comes to, watching a guy like Cam and Earl. Every time, what it looks like to be a true professional to me oftentimes is like those guys, every time I was either done with the haircut or starting it, they had the massage table being broken down. They had the iPad in their hand studying film. And it's just like small stories like that I think sometimes are dope to see how it impacts young players of like, because people look up to guys like that, right?
Yeah,
And
for
I
sure.
think like being a true professional on that level, Bobby Wagner's a client of mine for 12 plus years. Even when he was in LA this last year, I still flew down there once a week to cut his hair because guys like him have truly appreciated what I do for them as well. And when it comes to like a connection, that a true brotherhood, it's something that honestly means more to me than, anything that I've ever be able to be a part of, because the process of seeing them go from like not babies but rookie year to all of
Right.
fame is pretty special.
So, I mean, yeah, to your point, you've seen these guys emerge, and, the thing that separates professional athletes, they have like crazy mindset, work ethic, a lot of natural talent or whatnot. What would you say, like, some of the best lessons that you've learned hanging around these type of guys?
I would say rhythm and routine. I think the best in the world leave nothing to chance. And what I mean by that is if you're gonna diet, you're gonna work out, you're gonna drill, they also care about their appearance. They care about looking sharp, and they're checking every box. And I think when you manifest at the highest level is whenever you feel, the best self, right? And so looking good and feeling good to me is a mental health thing. It's not a vanity thing.
Right.
And I think at the end of the day, the greatest in the world that I've worked around, they're getting their haircut consistently, same time every week. It's not midnight one week, they skip 2 weeks. Like,
So are they doing it once a week?
not everybody, But what I'm saying is the greatest in the world, they have a written routine where if they get a haircut every Thursday, it's going to be the same time every Thursday. Unless they have treatment or something comes up. But like their schedule is so regimented. Does that make sense? Where it inspires me, you know what I mean, at a very high level, to like want to emulate that and be the Michael Jordan of my craft as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, that kind of goes along the principle that I've always believed is like you got to make the choice. Nobody likes to be forced into anything, right? Like you got to create the schedule, but then you got to choose to enslave yourself to your regimen. Right. And it's never like you never deviate from that, no matter how much you feel like not doing it, right? Whether it's the workout or the haircut or the pregame routine or whatever it may be, right? Like you create that, and then you just figure out how to be a slave to yourself, right? You're your own master.
Right. I think like I pay very close attention to what hat I'm wearing in any particular setting I'm in, because I love production and but also when I'm here to barber, right? And I think like at the end of the day, I feel like keeping these clippers in my hand and still staying sharp. I couldn't just pick up the clippers every once in a while. Say I'm a celebrity barber, you only do a couple cuts. I wouldn't be as sharp as I need to be, right? So getting in that shop and still grinding it out when I felt like I would have been retired from barber long ago is something that you have to check in every day.
Yeah.
And I think when you check in every day and you don't try to pick and choose when it's going to benefit and when it's not, but you just keep showing up, and that compound interest that happens over years of doing that is where you see people start to rise when it comes to who the Michael Jordans of each industry are, because there's a Michael Jordan of every industry.
Right.
And who are the linchpins of each industry, right? I think we all can learn things from each other. And I think it's cool that through podcasts like this, like whether it be just, a morning routine or a small hack that's changed your life, I think it's cool that other people can be impacted like that and be able to adapt that to their life to make a change to, where they're trying to go in life.
Love it. So over the years, obviously you cut a lot of different people's hair. Who would you say is like the most memorable or like, I don't know, somebody that you just truly enjoy being around every time that he's in your seat or she's in your seat?
Oh man, there's a lot, man. I don't want to disrespect anyone. There's too many, but Reggie Jackson's somebody that when he would come into town, right? The Yankees would come into town about 4 years in a row. He would come in and just his energy, he's iconic, right? And to be able to sit there and, trade, even just like have him telling your story, just even his energy alone of being around him is something that I will forever cherish. There's tons of guys that I will forever, ever cherish. But one thing I will say is this. I could be in any locker room. I think championship locker rooms are infectious, right? And your win's like my win, right? But the locker room I was able to come into when it comes to the Seahawks and the LOB and the years they were winning Super Bowls, when I tell you, if you can be in that locker room, everything else is Candyland.
Oh,
because it was the
dopest. I can imagine.
Alpha male. Like looking back on it is like, I'm so grateful that I got to witness just a small piece of it, man, because it is so special and it will never be recreated ever again. And it was something that will live on for history forever,
It's interesting. The culture is really the way that you would describe so you mentioned the LOB. For those that don't know what that is, that's the Legion of Boom.
The greatest secondary part of the greatest defense ever.
That's right. Got the Cam Chancellor, the Earl Thomas, Brandon Browner.
Right. Bobby Wagner.
Oof. Good group.
Cliff Averill and Michael Bennett were coming off the bench. Let's just put it that way. like that defense 2012.
That was solid.
Anyhow, I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, you're good, man.
I get pumped. Those are my guys.
Those are some exciting years to be a Seahawks fan after so many years of just pounding your head against bricks.
Right.
But it actually, I think it speaks a lot. Did you get to know Pete Carroll very much?
What's funny that you say that is I always tell people like, I cut the Kraken head coach, Dave, I cut, Mr. Service. But Pete, I've heard his wife cut his hair. So first off, they didn't even try to touch that. But at the end of the day, Pete was like such an iconic. I was like a little when I say I cut my teeth in the league, it was with the Seahawks. So Pete to me was like this. I didn't even look his way because I was so almost intimidated by
Right.
his aura,
Right.
and I respected him
Right.
so much that I just wanted to like stay out the way. But the crazy part is I didn't get a chance to meet him in that way. But I had Michael Gervais come on the Mark Talks, and some of the things he said to me, man, meant the world to me because he said you weren't just a barber like that just was cutting on the side, like you brought like an energy, and it meant the world to me because when you're
awesome.
in it, you don't know, you know.
Well, the cool thing is, obviously, you were a contributor to some of that culture, right? Like you were helping these guys feel good. You know, when guys feel good, they play good. But yeah, just speaking of Pete, you know, I think Pete is like one of the greatest coaches of all time from a standpoint of just being able to create incredible culture, right? In the locker room, on the sideline, on the game field,
Yep.
and you know, definitely everything on purpose and by design. It wasn't just happening because it was, and you know, he's coached championship teams across various leagues, right? Like down at USC,
Right.
and then for the Seahawks, and doing it with a multitude and plethora of different types of talent. And
Right. He knows
you
how
know,
to get the best out of people.
yeah,
And he knows how to put them in their strengths as far as he knows how to identify their strengths and then put them in position so that like they play to their strengths, I think. But the coolest part of Pete that I witnessed was watching guys like Eric Spoelstra come through the building to come like just follow him around, or Steve Kerr, and I remember seeing these coaches as I'm cutting hair there, and I'm like, man, the way that he's mentoring all these guys. He was the first one with music on at practice. Now everybody's doing it. Like his Pete Carroll's a legend forever when it comes to that. I think he was the first one at USC before even professional sports had social media. I think he might have been one of the first ones that had a program on social media. He's just always been revolutionary when it comes to building culture and trying new things in a way that I think he's a legend forever. He's a Hall of Fame coach, you know. So thank you, Pete, for all you did for Seattle, because we wouldn't have had the trip without you know you, John, Mr. Snyder. Like that's a special group, and we were spoiled for a long time. So the new coach came through the barbershop recently. I think he's a great dude too. So I'm excited, right? But change is hard because you know Pete was special.
right. So tell us about the new coach. You had a chance to hang with him a little bit.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy, man. Really nice guy. I think he's excellent nose. Like, I don't know. That's above my pay grade, so I won't speak on him like that. But as far as the person that he is, I think he's a great dude.
Solid dude.
And yeah, he's just a very, just really nice, really, his energy was great. It was amazing. I was like, man, I was excited. I'm excited.
So you can defer on this question, but I think the listeners would be interested to know what do you charge an athlete to get his hair cut?
See, those are things I can't really talk about because I don't want to. I have a day rate. So if you want to fly me out of state,
Yeah.
some people would be like, well, that's a haircut. I'm not paying for that. I said, bro, you're paying for me to be away from my shop for the
The
day.
experience.
And so, and the experience,
Right.
but also, you know, like the fee is for also that. But at the end of the day, I think what it comes down to is privacy and being able to trust somebody in your home and intimate spaces.
Got it.
And I think that's what people really pay for is the trust and knowing that they feel comfortable. You know, you've been in their most intimate spaces for years with them.
Yep.
And to bring a new guy into that is, especially with the assets and the type of people I work with, it's not something they like to do a lot, you know?
Right. So outside of that number, what's the biggest tip you've ever received from any of these guys?
Oh, man. I've made more money working on set, let's just put it that way.
Okay, what does that mean?
So I do a lot of commercials and production sets, whether it be like, you know, for Alaska Airlines or for, you know, the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards. But I've been blessed to work with the Saudi royal family at one time.
Wow.
And I shouldn't say with them, I should say for the jetliners that we were working on. But
Yep.
they flew all their celebrities from Dubai over.
Yeah.
And it's a little different, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I just got back from Dubai last week.
how was that?
Oh man, it was sweet. Have you made it over there?
Never.
Oh my goodness, you got to get over there.
Really? What'd you like most?
It's pretty wild. You know, it's quickly became my favorite city in the world, and I've done a lot of travel. You know, I've
Favorite city in the world?
in the world.
How many times you been there?
That was the first time.
Wow.
Yeah, I said
Wow.
quickly ran right up to the top.
Wow.
So,
That's pretty cool.
you know, it's pretty awesome. I'm a religious person myself. Definitely don't align with the religion that's practiced over there. But the thing I really enjoyed is just being around people that are so devoted to what they believe. I think that was pretty solid, and then just super clean. I mean, you got cranes everywhere. I mean, new buildings popping up every place. I mean,
we were just talking about Bellevue. That's where I'm at. I'm going to cut you off.
you're
I
good.
think Bellevue is going to be like the Dubai of the United States when it comes to new tech and rolling out new things.
That I'm telling you, there's no place in the U.S. that is gonna be like Dubai.
What made it different? What did you like about it?
I mean, Dubai makes Miami and anywhere else look like little leagues. You know, it's just like everything is extremely advanced, clean, well kept. You know, cutting edge, brand new. Everything's built within the last 20 years. You can go out to the Palm Island and feel like you're in Hawaii,
Really?
and then drive 20 minutes and be downtown next to the Burj Khalifa. You know, with a fountain that's twice the size of the Bellagio fountain. You know, with this amazing, incredible mall that has back patios of 4 stories of restaurants all backed up into it.
I'm sold.
Dude, I mean the mall itself, I think it had like 30 different shoe stores.
Wow.
I mean, I got new Jordans on drop where they were sold out the same day in the U.S.
Are you going back there soon?
I need to.
So when you go out there, go check out Chap's Barbershop.
Okay. Chap's Barbershop. Is that a guy you know?
It's a barbershop that, as far as the customer experience and just how they, you know, they're not just branding, but overall just the way that they present. I think the whole customer experience, from like the shaves to it's next level.
Okay.
And honestly, I was inspired by actually some of their shop design,
All right.
and so that's what it caught my eye. Was the shop design was incredible.
And you just seen photos of this place.
I've only seen photos. I've seen videos, obviously,
Got
online,
it.
but I know like soccer stars that are in Dubai, different people that they've cut over there. So I've known athletes to go in there as well.
Yeah.
That's really what it caught my eye again. I was like, oh wow, they're actually in there, actually cutting celebrities in there. That's dope.
That's nice.
Yeah,
That's nice.
yeah. So if you get a chance, go check them out.
I love it. Yeah, if you're wanting to head over there and get any introductions to some celebrities, I got some good connections there.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
so my buddy, he's like top 3 developer in Dubai.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they do about $25 billion in new construction a year.
Wow.
So it's
Wow.
pretty wild.
Wow. That's amazing. What's his name?
His name's Adil Sajan.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. How'd you meet him?
So him and I are buddies from a Harvard program that we're a part of,
wow.
and so yeah, I do this thing called OPM, stands for Owners President Management, where for 3 years we go and live at Harvard 3 weeks a year, and it's with other business owners and business guys that are doing crazy things in the world, and you live and study and do what's called case study, where you study different businesses and kind of debate how you would go about different strategy.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love that. What are some of the, as far as like, you guys just kind of like cross-pollinate ideas and help each other, or is it more of just like a place where you kind of get more knowledge about kind of expanding your work?
It's a little bit of everything. So essentially the way it's structured is we do 3 to 4 case studies a day for 3 weeks, and it's Monday through Saturday.
Okay.
And what that is you got these 13-page studies written up on businesses with like real world problems that they're facing.
Okay.
And so then you get together in class they section us off. There's 160 in our group, but we do 80 people at a time.
Okay.
And we get together and we discuss the ideas and debate back and forth on how you would handle that particular situation from a marketing standpoint, culture, negotiations. And then you got these world-class professors that are kind of leading the discussion. Yeah, man, it's
How long have you been doing that?
what's that?
How long have you been doing that?
So I've been doing it 2 years, and so each fall I go there and I live there for 3 months, or sorry, not 3 months, 3 weeks. 3 months would be wild. Live there for 3 weeks on campus, and they feed us and take care of us, and it's just kind of a whole executive treatment.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Apply, or how does that work?
Yeah, you got to apply to be in, and they have different qualifications. I think out of our group, about 25% of our whole group are billionaires.
Nice.
And so doing crazy things in the world, and got guys like Will I Am. I don't know if you know who Will is.
Of course.
Yeah, he's part of my group.
Boom, boom, boom.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, me and Will we're actually rooming together this next fall.
That's amazing. I hear. When I say I hear, I love whether it be him or Akon for a while. Like, there's people that are out here that are like really pushing in places that a lot of people don't even know they're pushing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Will is a crazy entrepreneur. Most people know him as a lyrical genius,
Right.
or as a musician.
Right.
But a lot of people don't realize that he was actually the founder of Beats, and he brought on Dre to come on, and Will pushed the software development of Beats that ended up selling to Apple for $3.2 billion.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Come on, talk to me.
And right now he's got a pretty sweet software that he's rolling out. He just did a collab with Mercedes.
No doubt.
And his software is on every new Mercedes, built in this whole musical experience. But he also has it's a project management software for producers, musicians, and
Built off AI.
yeah, built with AI. Yeah,
That's
it's called FYI.
It's funny you say that because I often ask, how have we dotted up our greatest athletes, and we got sports science, but we've never dotted up our greatest artists other than a master class?
Yeah,
That's crazy to me.
yeah,
And it's the fact that we haven't tracked our movements. If Da Vinci or if these greatest artists like Beethoven was alive, we wouldn't be like, so tell us how you thought about doing that. We would actually be studying their every movement to
Right.
make sure we capture it forever.
right.
Why haven't we done that, you think?
Why haven't we done it? Phew, I don't know.
It's a deep question. I know. I went off the side right there. I'm a little bit of a nerd.
I love it. I think we're going to see a lot of crazy things happen in the next few years with AI, and the ability to study and track and just take big data and process it and be able to do things like what you're talking about, study every single move and really document us. Right now you got of course ChatGPT. Have you messed around with customized GPTs?
Are you kidding me? Well, I have a startup that I kind of mentioned a little bit.
Yeah.
But it really is based around, we're collecting data now.
Right.
And so part of my booking system, there's questionnaires, but like to really close that loop, like kind of like rider driver when it comes to Uber feedback loop, right?
Yeah.
Being able to have the barbers be able to come back, and then I bring anecdotes into it, but like
Right.
really customizing things is really where it's about, I think.
It's crazy because these GPTs that you can train now.
Right.
I have a GPT that I'm training right now with my podcast and the different content that I create,
Really.
and so it learns the way that I think and the way that I write and I enunciate things or whatnot.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, like, what will that look like for our future generations? Like, hey, I want to study from Grandpa. Be able to go in and just know everything, like actually consult with Grandpa long after he's gone.
100%. Well, like that, it's like cutting hair, right?
Right.
Like doing that for exactly. I think in the same way when it comes to like cutting hair, and how do we capture our movements? How do we capture like what makes it on the mark? And then, like you said, and later on in life, being able to, when we're long gone, be able to capture our art immortally in a way that I think is going to be really, really cool.
Yeah.
And it's coming fast. Like the merging of AI and artistry is coming really quick.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yep. Future, I don't think any of us can quite contemplate what that will look like. I mean, AI has been rocking and rolling for the last, just since ChatGPT came out, 15 months ago.
Right.
Hundreds of millions of users, and how much it's drastically impacted the landscape.
I mean, what's 3 or 4 or 5 years from now going to look like? That, you know.
Well, I
makes you
know.
wonder.
All I know is this: if you're not on it, and it comes to stuff that used to take 2 years to build in a business, takes a week. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And the exponential, like, if you know how to really prompt it and really get into it, and actually, like you say, build models for your own business, right?
Right.
There's an opportunity right now. It's like the infancy of the internet, man. And I always tell people that's not on ChatGPT, I said, bro, it's like basically telling somebody back in the day that had a Google search bar and the other guy had to walk 10 miles to the library and source everything out of there. That's basically how
The
far
difference.
back you are if you don't like start getting on it now.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, for sure. I always tell people, hey, you're not going to get replaced by AI. You're going to get replaced by somebody that uses AI.
Yeah, right. And I
Yeah.
think AI, we need to make it like us. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And we need to control it like that, right? And so
Yeah.
AI for good is something that's really, really important. I think like being able to help people feel their best through their look, whether it be their haircut or their hairstyle. But in the metaverse here soon, man, like people are going to be going to meetings that are going to be happening soon that their haircut in the metaverse is going to really matter. So like hair skin, stuff like that, they're
Right.
coming quick.
Right.
And I'm excited to see where it goes.
You messed around with the new Apple Vision Pro?
I haven't, honestly. I was just in the Apple store in Bellevue the other day, and
Did they have one on display?
yeah, they have like 3 of them.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to get over there because I was fixing my son's iPad. So
It's
yeah.
interesting. I was in Dubai at the Apple store and they didn't have one.
Really?
Yeah. So I was.
See,
I was-
I told you, Bellevue.
yeah. There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I have one upstairs. Yeah, we'll have to mess
Really?
around. Yeah, you can mess around with it
I would
after
love
we're
to.
done.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there's. It's interesting because I have all the Meta Quest ones.
Right?
You know, I got the 1, 2, I got the Pro, and there's something different about this, man.
Really?
Yeah, just the way that it augments reality.
100%.
You know, because like the way that these other ones are built is like to go completely virtual,
Right?
right? Like to dive in and not be present and whatnot. And what the Apple Vision has done an incredible job is like you can still interact with everything that's going on around you, and it's just augmenting it.
Really?
And yeah, it's pretty crazy. And you know, I believe once they can get that down to either a contact lens or
It's coming.
or glasses,
So even when automation does come and one day clippers are doing their thing, you're still going to have me walk around talking with me to know exactly what you're speaking about.
right?
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
It's coming.
yeah. I love it.
That's amazing. Apple Vision Pro. Well, I was a part of the first AirPod version 1 ever when it comes to like on-set grooming all the guys.
Uh-huh.
When I said I thought something illegal was going on, I was like, this is so top secret. Like, what is this about? And I didn't even know it was the AirPods until they finally came out. But the way they protect, obviously they're supposed to, right? But like
Right.
the way that they protect their tech when it comes to working on something that, I guess, like innovative, is something that like it's pretty special to witness. You know what I mean? Were you a part of any of that, like, or do you know anybody at Apple that's worked on that personally?
No, I don't. But I have to imagine that the development of the Apple Vision Pro has been going on for years, right?
Right.
It's crazy to me that how much research and development goes in at these big $1 trillion businesses that never even makes it to the front lines.
100%.
Apple actually just killed their car project a couple days ago.
Really?
that they've been working on, I think, for like 5 or 6 years.
Really?
They were developing out a new electric car that was supposed to be amazing and incredible technology. I think they spent several $1 billion on it.
Really?
Just killed it the other day.
Really?
Yeah.
Why was it just something that they were spreading themselves too thin?
I don't think Apple worries about spreading themselves too thin, but I know Apple has created a culture, and this goes back to what we've been chatting about, is just like a culture of like when they bring something to the market, it's going to be game changing, right? Like it's going to be so unique, so different.
I gotta say, yeah, since what's his Steve Jobs had left, other than the iPad and I guess this new stuff was coming quickly, I guess I should say, but they were stagnant for a while.
They've been stagnant, but the thing is, I think a lot of it is because like
they have a culture of like, it's got to change the world in order for us to release it, right? And you know, the same way that they were stagnant for a long time before the iPod, right? And you know, Steve Jobs obviously came in, you know, 100 songs in your pocket, which quickly transformed into the iPhone, which changed the world.
Right.
And yeah, so it'll be interesting. It's once again interesting that they spend billions of dollars on something that's never going to see the light of day. But
Sometimes they like to kill things too, like that.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I see companies buy things just to die them out. You know what I mean? Because they have something greater coming maybe in 5 years that they don't want. But at the end of the day, like you say, I think a lot of that's testing too. When you got billions of dollars of bird to test, that kind of helps too.
that does help.
Nobody wants to lose billions, but it's a part of the game, right? You don't win them all.
It's good stuff. How's the haircut looking?
It's coming along. We're almost there.
Woo-wee.
Almost there.
Excited.
Yes, sir.
For an undisclosed price amount. I love it.
Yep. We don't sell them the price till afterwards. Oh man. So how do you like the Tri-Cities? Talk to me a little bit. I don't want to put this date, but like I'm from my mom's from here, family from here. I know you move around quite a bit, right? So you're not here all the time. But
it's interesting. So I've traveled and lived around the world. In fact, before settling in these last 8 years into the house that I'm in right now, me and my wife have moved 14 times. 14? 14. Wow. And so I've lived all over the U.S. And it's interesting. I would say that there's no place like Tri-Cities. It's always been a place that I wanted to raise my kids. It did a lot of good for me growing up here. And you know, the thing I always tell people is I get to travel and go be a part of the crazy business world in these big cities or whatnot. But when I step into my house, I want to be relaxed, and I want to be in a calm area, a place that I can just, you know, see the stars at night. And so, yeah, man, I live just north of here on a 23-acre hobby farm.
That's amazing. Honestly, that I can honestly say this: when the Seahawks year they went to Super Bowl, was the first year I went to Seattle, fucking all that. To be able to come back home and still be grounded here with like Tri-Cities, my family, but then go into game day and you're there with like Earl and I'm at his house having a barbecue after the game, and then I come back to Tri-Cities. Like to have the ability to live that at that time, it is so special, man. Because a lot of guys that get drafted in certain cities, none of their families there.
Right.
It's not this. You're so blessed, and actually you have that support system right there, but you could actually step into two almost different realms.
Yep.
And still enjoy both of them for what they are, because they ground you, and then you're back to working, right?
Right.
It's pretty amazing.
Yep, and that's why I love the Tri-Cities. Kind of get the best of both worlds.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Championship culture. I know we talked a little bit about it, but World Championship teams, I've been super blessed to be in certain locker rooms, man, whether it be the Seahawks when they won it all, or, you know, the Red Sox or the Cubs. And I say this, like, Coach Cash is somebody he's the Tampa Bay Rays head coach. He was one of the first coaches I cut when I started cutting. I identify with him because he's from Tampa Bay and he coaches his hometown team, right? And so I was like, that's amazing. But to watch what the Rays have done when it comes to, like, they're like the new Moneyball team, you know what I mean? Through data, through just thinking outside the box. And I guess what I'm getting at is, like, championship culture, what I found, the commonalities that proliferate through those locker rooms are generally, you know, say that door's open and somebody's walking by. The good teams, they'll come and almost touch them. They'll be, man, let me mess up his hair real quick, and they'll grab the clippers, or they'll just trade some type of, whether be teasing them, but there's some type of, like,
brotherhood, a bonding. Yeah.
The teams that, and people say when you're losing, it's easy, right? But no, I've seen losing teams still do this, and then it change the culture. What I'm saying is the losing teams, they might look in and they might keep walking, right?
Right.
And they don't, I mean, it's hard enough, right, when you're losing. But I guess what I'm getting at is that championship culture seems like your win's like my win. And when you can, like, really create that, whether it be at the barbershop, whether it be at the, you know, whatever business you run at home, like, once you can start creating that, like, synergy of infectious winning is something that, like, I think is the coolest part of being able to witness what I have. Like, how do you attribute what championship culture when it comes to, because obviously you're very successful at what you've done. Like, what was the differentiator for you?
Yeah, so I talk a lot about this as far as like designing culture on purpose, and a lot of that has to do with like having shared core values, right? And hiring, firing, and promoting based off of those core values. And I think when you look at championship teams, they get rid of the cancer, right? Like the people that don't align with whatever
Right.
whatever core value that they have been building and creating, no matter how good the talent is.
Right.
And I think that's like one of the hardest things in a winning team, in a winning business or whatnot, is like when somebody is super talented, right, and can bring a lot of value, yet they're bringing things down behind the scenes or whatnot. It's really hard to get rid of that because you want to justify like, whoa, this guy hits home runs.
Right.
Or this guy sells a ton,
Right.
or he's really good with customers in this particular way, but he's terrible. He's always bringing down the organization in team meetings,
Right.
and so I think a championship culture is created when people rid that immediately and they don't let it fester, no matter how hard, right? And one of the best pieces of advice I was given was that you hire slow and fire quickly. And so when you identify that cancer, you get rid of it quick.
Right.
And then just having a criteria that you're balancing that off of, so that people understand like how they measure up. So like for us, when building our organization, we had 6 core values.
Okay.
And synergy, outside the box thinking, love of family, generosity, excellence, and no excuses. And so and then each one was clearly defined and able to be measured against. And so if we were ever having to sit down with somebody that was struggling with something, we were able to quickly measure them like, hey, when we talk about no excuses, it's taking ownership of everything. Like this is where you're always coming up with an excuse, right? Or whatever it is.
Problematic.
Right.
There's a lot of problematic people out there.
Right.
I've had to, and I'll be the first to admit, I have a hard time doing that sometimes. That I've bit me in the butt.
Yeah.
Because I believe in people a lot, where I feel like it's almost my job to not give up on them sometimes.
Right.
But when they're tearing the whole team down in the slightest of ways, that ends up eating up your culture faster than you really realize it. And then sometimes it's too late. You know what I mean? So I received that message. I appreciate that, man, because it actually resonated with me more than you understand.
And then outside of that, like you have your core values, but there's also like ways that you have to create your culture.
Right.
And for me, it's the 3 T's. You gotta have trust, transparency, and truth. And a lot of times people try building families and organizations off of loyalty. And I actually think loyalty within an organization, family is the only place that loyalty should exist. And trust is actually what you have to build off of. And the difference between the two is loyalty is like, whether you burn me or not, I'm still going to always have your back, right? Like you can totally be a complete terrible person to me. And and for family, right? That's blood. You got to always have their back. You understand that they don't. And so a lot of times people try creating that within an organization, and what that is just it's a slave type mentality, and where you have a slave and a master, and then like and you shouldn't, like if meaning like if an employee is being abused and taken advantage of, meaning that like they're not getting paid what they should be, or they're not being given opportunity that they should be, the employee deserves to leave. Right. And so they should run, right? Once that relationship becomes unequitable, untrusting, right? And so like trust is essentially, as an employer, I got to provide opportunity, not only in money, but in progression, in additional forms of compensation, like helping you become the best version of yourself and that type of thing, right? Like that's the way that I compensate my employee. And in turn, they have to be bringing their best effort, right? They got to be bringing their best effort to becoming the best version of themselves, to contributing to the bottom line, and the minute that is broken,
Right.
that relationship should be severed. There shouldn't be just this undying loyalty that's created.
I love it.
And so,
That was
you know, and that's the thing that we always preach with our people. Like, look, someday this may not be the right opportunity for you. You may only be able to get progress over and above, you know, by going and working with somebody else or whatnot. And I fully expect you to leave in that circumstance.
Right.
And when you're open like that, now you have this trusting relationship that when they have a new offer or a new opportunity, they're actually going to come and talk to you instead of leaving in the middle of the night.
I love it. That was great.
Dude, you hungry? You need a little snack?
No, we're almost done here.
All
I
right.
had these are different clips, so I had to basically backyard barber it step by step. Usually I'll flip over the comb when we're done, but this isn't the comb, so we're gonna make it happen. Sorry. But
I gave just for the people that are watching this thing, I basically gave him a butter knife for a comb.
exactly. But you know what? It's looking good. You're looking on the mark, and I don't know what you got going on this week, but whatever it is, you're about to win.
So, woo!
So let's get it.
I love feeling good.
Amen. You're talking about one of the most surreal moments ever. I talk look good, play good, feel good to the players for years.
Mm-hmm.
And then during the pandemic, Gillette comes to me and says, we want you to do a look good, play good edition with Deion Sanders. And he's the innovator of it.
Right.
And you talk about a humbling moment. Man.
So have you hung with Deion very much?
Actually, it was virtually during that time.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, to even just trade that energy and to be able to, like, even have that moment with him, I felt like I was there.
Nice.
I mean, he brings he's authentic and himself.
Right.
Which why everybody loves him. Some people don't, but I think at the end of the day, he's moved in the spirit.
Yeah.
And I really love how he, you know, wears his faith on his sleeve like that, because I know it's changing people's lives, you know?
I mean, speaking of a guy that just is a culture builder, right?
Right.
I mean, this guy does it by design. He comes in, transforms the locker room. You know, he's got the quotes, he's got the music, he's got the vibe, the look good, feel good, play good. Man.
But see, that wasn't accepted. This is a new thing.
Right.
Meaning, like, they've changed the landscape of what it looks like to actually be accepted. Like, the Blue Blood conferences forever have owned it, right?
Right.
And so the fact that you got, you know, what was that other coach that was dancing? They're all dancing in the locker room with the guys. You got Harbaugh dancing in there.
Right.
And I keep going back to Pete. Pete was the one that started that whole, he might not have danced, but that whole fun culture of having celebrities in there. Like, Pete Carroll was the innovator of that. So everybody playing copycat. I'm glad they finally caught up 10 years later.
I agree, man. That's the thing I've always loved about Pete. What he's doing in the locker room, the sidelines running, chomping his gum, you know.
Right. He's the man.
Dude.
I pray that I have his energy when I'm his age.
Yeah, it's crazy to think. Yeah, him and my dad are like the same exact age. And, you know, my dad, you know, he's in good health, but man, Pete can run circles around him.
Yeah, Pete is special, man. Pete is special. I hope his post career, or if he coaches again, whatever he does, man, he deserves all his flowers he can get, man, because he is a special dude.
So what's next for you?
What is next for me? I want to continue to. I just opened a new shop in Bellevue. I love doing activations. I love doing hospitality suites. I love making people feel good. I've done everything from Complex Con to I was a barber at the Combine as a Nike barber for about 5 years actually the last one they had there before the pandemic. We actually left early because the pandemic was hitting at the time. So
Right.
That was like really the last event they had for months. But I've really enjoyed this barbershop talk when it comes to like connecting with people through the chair, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, telling stories. I've had many aha moments where it's just me and the client there. And I know some things are intimate that need to stay in the barbershop, right?
Right.
But I think there's certain moments that could be really dope to connect with, whether it be athlete, whether it be entrepreneur, and share moments that I think, whether it be their philanthropic work to just things that are important to them, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't need to be just athletes. I think TED Talks, right? There's linchpins of industries, and I think being able to tell their stories from the chair is something that I'm deeply passionate about.
So how are you rolling that out?
So I have been pushing this when it comes to, I can't really say too much about who I've pushed it to and what I've done, but let's just say we're very, very close. And I think in God's timing, if and when that happens, it's going to be dope because at the end of the day, it's there to change people's lives when it comes to dynamic moments from the chair that actually have so much value that I've had moments where I'm like, man, I wish the world could hear this right now because that was so dope. And I think it's important to be able to share that, you know?
I love it. I love it.
We are almost done. All right, let me finish this up real quick.
Yeah, it's interesting, like content creation and podcasting has really taken off over the last few years, but it's still very much in its infancy. I have a buddy out in Atlanta. He's a big podcaster. He runs a huge podcasting conference and whatnot, and they've been really able to change the culture out in Atlanta through podcasting and whatnot. But one of the things that they believe, and I tend to agree with, is that like most big brands are missing in creating podcast content, right? Like imagine somebody like Ford, right, who's got...
Well, they're too big to fail. That's the problem.
Right.
You got the MTV effect, right? MTV was too big to fail.
Right.
MTV had the awards. Why would we need to go to social media? We're MTV. Guess what happened? Complex Con and Complex came along.
That's right.
And guess what happened? They're doing pregnancy shows now, right? So, yeah. At the end of the day,
but it's crazy. Like if these brands, like called Coca-Cola, man. Like, why isn't Coca-Cola launching a podcast? Like these guys could go and literally just have this type of conversation going on. Right. They could bring on any celebrity, any big influencer, come in, have a conversation, and really bring a face back to their brand.
Well, this is the thing is like scripted, non-scripted, but like free-flowing conversations. I think I was just telling you off camera. I said I equate scrolling to like a DVR or TiVo back in the day when you knew you could fast forward the commercial.
Yeah.
And people don't want to see Mike in your, like a general interview. People know there's a publicist behind it that they can't really be themselves. People want to see that fly on the wall.
Right.
And the barber chair is the holy grail
I love
of what that is. I think. But there's many other facets. You got the Hot Wings show. You got the Untold Stories, right? They're over here shooting pool, right? Gary Vee's eating. Like everybody's trying to figure out that, that way to be able to hack the algorithm. And I think, we're close. We're close.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few years with AI, content creation, podcasts. There's so much. The attention span of today, to your point of scrolling, is just so low.
Right. So I got a thing I did with J.P. Crawford, bless his heart, love him to death. He's a client of mine. I just opened my shop in Bellevue, and I'm trying to show these proof of concepts like low-hanging fruit, like this in-game content, right? Like original content, right? And I love Jen Mueller. I love the cooking show she has. I think it's dope that they're doing different things, but like. What makes great content to me is trust and rapport.
Right.
And at the end of the day, like, we're not here for clickbait. We're here to really like get dope conversations. And not everybody wants to be filmed, right? And I understand that part too. But I think at the end of the day, if you get a chance, I'll send you the clip. Maybe you can add it into what show the fans what we're talking about or your viewers. But he was going to Driveline. He was putting in the work. Watched him this last season go from like. He hit like 20-something bombs, and he was just locked in a way that I think at the end of the day, to be able to give him his flowers. He came and brought me a jersey to my new shop, but I want to give him his flowers and be like, man, you did your thing last year, bro, and it was in the most critical moments that he was shining, right? And I was like, man, it felt like he was having an out-of-body experience, but it was just dope. It was a dope interaction, and I think like it's weird that that's low-hanging fruit, and it's something that continues to kind of have, it's hard to crack the industry whenever they've been running the same play forever, and they almost feel like, basically like, who are you, man? You're a barber. Go cut hair and like just like chill out. And so I think eventually that shoe's gonna drop, right? But it's an old guard that's having a hard time getting out the way.
Man, I just love what you're doing as far as like in the industry, taking a creative way to go out and create content, because to your point, no one would expect a barber to go and create and do everything that you're doing right now. And so I think there's so many opportunities to be able, for the listeners, to take whatever industry you're in and get outside of the box and be able to present value in a way that most people wouldn't expect you to, right? And that's the day and age that we live in. Like, you can take any industry and create unique value and really become a one-on-one.
The linchpins of the industry. That's amazing.
Yes,
That's
sir.
amazing. That's what you call on the mark. That's what you call on the mark. That's amazing. That's the coolest part about my job, honestly, is I get to meet. So, I mean, you know, celebrities, all that, that's really cool. But, like, to be able to connect with guys like yourself, and there's so many bright minds in Seattle that come through that shop I'm
sure.
like, to like crowdsource from all of the greatest minds that are there has been humbling. Very, very humbling. Have you been in Bellevue lately?
You know, last time, when was I in Bellevue? I was out there for Seahawks. No, it's been over a year since I've been at a Seahawks game. We went down to the Dallas Seahawks game.
You got to look at Bellevue. They just put like 3 new towers in.
Really?
Man, the Intercontinental went in there, and it is gorgeous. They put like brand new condos that were right there. Here we go. All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the haircut, man, she's looking good.
Yeah, it looks on the mark.
Dude, on the mark. Yeah,
Yes,
you can't
yeah.
say good. It's
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
mark.
yeah.
On the mark.
Yeah, that's right.
Dude, appreciate it, man. Thanks. First of all, thanks for just being on the show. And it's been some fun conversation up until this point.
No, appreciate you for having me. You've definitely inspired me, and the whole Ivy League thing that you threw at me, I was just like, so that's amazing that you're always seeking knowledge and you're always putting yourself around winners.
You dude, I think it's so important. You know, I think real winners identify that money does not define them, right? Like once they have achieved that financial success, they don't stop, right? They continue to push past and find the next thing, and you know, education is definitely part of that, right? Really learning and you know, figuring out who knows more than I do, and how can I gain a little bit of that action.
Right. I always say money doesn't make you happy. It actually buys your time back.
That's right.
And I truly believe that, like, if you feel like anything's going to make, I have a quote that I always say, God gave me everything I thought I ever wanted to show me what I truly needed.
I love it.
And what I mean by that is, like, in my career, I have checked every box. I was a Seahawks fan as a little boy, to go to the Super Bowl and like be their team barber. And
It's amazing.
you know, these are things that are bigger than me. It's him. And at the end of the day, having all those things really showed me, like, wow, you can have all those things, and those are just things. Sitting on the couch with your kids and just being still with them and just being present with them, that's the greatest gift you're ever gonna get.
I love it.
And I truly believe that in my heart, because I've experienced the highs, the lows, the in-betweens. And if I could share with anyone, you know, a message, that's something that's really dear to my heart, that I think is something I truly believe in.
I love it. Where's a good place that the followers and the viewers can follow you? Like,
So I am on Instagram, on the mark 1, on the mark with the K, the number 1. I'm also, I have a partnership with Gillette and Procter & Gamble, so I do a lot of content for them. So you might see me on their page and stuff like that. YouTube is something that I started 1 years ago, working in the industry, especially with the, you know, athletes I do. I think I've gotten to where I have because I don't do too much, and I'd have never wanted to be opportunistic and try to like use the guys to like launch things in a certain way. So I've had to go about it in a different way, right? And what I mean by that is just like partnering with companies that have rosters that I already have natural synergy and connections with. And so to be able to work with like the NFLPA and do Rookie Premiere, where Kenneth Walker or, you know, Jackson Smith and Jigba, I met these guys in LA before they even touched foot in Seattle. And so to be able to connect with like just great kids, men, you know, men that are becoming and finding themselves. I really don't talk a lot of ball, obviously. I just talk about, you know, sometimes not a lot. Sometimes I talk about what God puts on my heart. But at the end of the day, that's the most gratifying thing about my job. And when it comes to finding things and where you can find like new content coming, I'm super excited because I can't really reveal it where it's going to live. But there's some major projects that we're working on right now. We're doing a mini doc that's going to be hopefully inspiring to the next generation of kids. I want to inspire kids that are coming up that I wanted to play in the NFL or the NBA, and I might not have been able to have the skill set to do it, but to marry my job like barbering to something that I'm passionate about, like sports or like football, and to be able to marry those two together are something that everyone can do.
I love
And
it.
so if you're the guy that does the floor for the Lakers, or you're the guy that does, tech for one of your favorite artists, like there's ways to still live your dream and still do it from a job that people, so to speak, think is an everyday job. And I think that's really dope to be able to inspire the next generation, because there's a lot of kids that are good at things that don't feel like it's a cool job. And so they don't really lean into it. And so if they can find somebody that's like, yo, that's my favorite artist, and like I'm really good at doing that, and it might not be like the artist, but like I could work with somebody like that, I think can really inspire a lot of youth of today.
I love it. I love it. Well, we're really excited for some of these things that are coming down the road. I know you can't reveal them quite yet, but we'll be on the lookout.
I appreciate that. Now, a lot of my content does live on Instagram. It's a lot of more micro content. I love Barbershop Talk. I have bless Julio's heart. He came in the year, he won Rookie of the Year, and actually filmed Barbershop Talk at my shop the morning of his first game ever. I tell people all the time, I'm like, it's like Ken Griffey Jr., bro, coming to your shop, the first game he ever played at the Kingdom. Like this kid's special. And when I say special, he's so much bigger than athlete. He is one of the most genuine, infectious. I always tell him, I'm like, bro, I don't think you can be mad at you, bro. Like he has this like energy that's just, he's a winner.
Yeah.
But he's also one of the hardest workers I've ever seen.
It's interesting. The only time I've ever been to spring training was his rookie year. And I saw him hit an inside the park home run.
Oh, I think I remember watching that.
Dude, at spring training, and I'm just like, oh, and the radio announcer at the time, he's like, I think he might have just sealed his position on the team. Like they weren't even sure whether or not he was going to make the team, and they ends up winning the Rookie of the Year, landing this huge contract. It was wild.
I was with him the morning he did sign his contract, his rookie year, and you know what's so special is it's cool when they become who they are, which the superstar that they are. But the most joy I get out of it is like genuinely connecting them when they're 17 and 18. He came in my shop, I think he was 17 or 18 years old. He was a baby.
Right.
And I mean, he was a man, but like compared where he's at today, and to watch him where he spoke it from day one. He was like, oh, I'm gonna be there, and like just wait, bro.
I love it.
It was something that to watch him go from that to he got like I think a thumb injury during the pandemic. He had to sit out, and to watch him still grind. That kid right there, you get the Michael Jordans, just like the jersey you see right there. When talent meets hard work and discipline, a lot of people just rely on that talent, but you get the great ones whenever they actually work like they have no talent. And when you find that guy that works like that, like Julio, he run like a deer. He's 6'4". This dude is, I went to the UW game versus Oregon when they beat him. And to watch how he moved that stadium where people were just in love with him, I've been work with a lot of athletes. I ain't never seen nothing like that.
I love that.
And that's special because that's genuineness that the fans feel connected to.
Well, with that, man, we're gonna cut out because that was an incredible little piece to end on. So appreciate your time,
Man, thank you
my
for
man.
having me. Thank you
All
for
right,
having me.
until next time.
Yes, sir.